Hey, how y'all doing? This is Nate, Chris, and Brennan. We are the Rule of Thirds. How y'all doing today?
How's it going?
We gotta
How's
come
it
up with
going?
we gotta come up with like a cool symbol too. Like we gotta do
What?
a three.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like
Anyway.
a three somehow.
So look, y'all. Moon Knight episode 2.
Yes.
A lot happened. A lot happened. You know. Um. I think we got a little more clarity and resolve into the whole dynamic between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, right?
Yes.
We also
Definitely.
got a little more clarity into who the so-called villain is. Um, but overall,
Yes.
tell me about your thoughts. Like, what was your thoughts? What was your feeling going into episode 2? Some takeaways, things you were happy about, things you were maybe disappointed about. Go ahead, take it away.
All right. So I can start this off here. And I was actually also kind of thinking about how we should probably start formatting the video. I think we should leave our review, like whether we like the episode or not, at the end after we talk about the episode instead of at the beginning. I think that makes more
Good
sense.
brain.
You want to just do like a round table, just go back and forth and
Yeah,
talk
and then
about it real quick?
at the
Yeah,
end of it,
cool.
we can actually give a debate, though. What we actually think about the video. I think that
I
might
got
be
you. Go
actually
ahead.
like
Go ahead.
give our
Go ahead.
actual ratings. But in terms
Yeah.
of
Lead the way.
going into this episode, episode 2 here, we start off actually right at the ending of episode 1 with him essentially leaving out the bathroom after having Steven take over for a bit and beating the jackal in the bathroom there,
Mm.
and they're looking
I'm sorry.
over.
I'm sorry. Not beating the jackal, beating the cowboy shit out of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give me
They
breaks off that.
well, I'll say, and they're going over essentially. They're starting to go over the video footage from that night before, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Steven is like, he's like, yeah, he's really hyped about having watched the video at first. Like, yeah, watch the video. You'll see what happened,
Mhm.
and it's only him,
Mm.
obviously. So like,
Or is it him?
I mean, yeah, part of it's him. When he leaves out the bathroom and he sees that scene, he's like, that's not me,
It
and
is
obviously,
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You see Mark like walk out the bathroom, like make direct eye contact with the camera, like he knows, like, hey, like I know this camera's here. Like as he's watching it, he like looks at it, he's like, yeah, I know that's not me. He's like, that's not me at all.
So I want to say something, and I'm going to need my brothers to help me. Really help me to keep me from going off on a tangent because I'm known for going off on a tangent. But there's a lot of superheroes out there that play around with the concept of duality. This is the first time we're literally getting a chance to see two different personalities encompassing the same body. Okay?
Right.
I'm not gonna mention any other superheroes. Batman. But that particular character, there's some really popular characters that have really flirted with that concept of duality. Who's the real person? The guy behind the mask or the person out in front of everyone? Who's who? Who's the real person? Who's the front? Who's the real person? And I think this is such a unique experience, a unique show, because we're literally getting to see it. We're getting to see that struggle between, really, who am I? We get to see the back and forth between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. But we still haven't really gotten to why. Because essentially it's the same person. The mind is split.
Right.
We talked about in episode 1 the whole dissociative disorder identity. Like, that's a real thing. And then, not to make fun of anyone who's going through with it or anything like that, that's a real thing. So to really play with that concept and literally have, two minds speaking to each other from the same body. You know what I mean? I think it's a really crazy concept, but it's not anything new because the point I was trying to make earlier is some other mainstream characters have flirted around with that. Who am I really?
Right.
You
Right.
know, is the real me? Okay, I'm gonna need you guys to step in here. I need you guys to
Mm.
step in here. Is the real me Batman, or is the real me Bruce Wayne? I'll leave it at that.
Honestly, oh, I mean that's a
I just
question.
love to see it. I just love to see that. It's just
Right.
from a real physical, the two of them talking to one another, like who's in control. Man, I love that. Oh God, I love
Yeah,
it.
no, I definitely think that's like the best part, especially like with this episode, like now that like Steven has like gained access to like that other dimensional space through like where he can actually communicate with Mark, like from, you know, obviously inside. Like it's interesting like seeing them like kind of you would think like Steven would be kind of like on board with like, okay, like this guy is like trying to do something, but he's like very much fighting back. He's like, listen, give me my body, like give me my body back, like you're not taking me over anymore, and like resisting like to all of his strength trying to resist for Mark to take over. So it's like interesting seeing the dynamic between them and really trying to see like who's who, because like even whenever like Khonshu like speaks to them, he's like he doesn't like regard Steven as like even like a person. He's just like, yo,
Mm,
like you said you would get him under control, deal with him,
right.
and like all this other stuff. So it's like it's really interesting to see like who's really this person, honestly. Like is
Hmm.
Steven kind of like the one that's like behind the scenes, like it's really actually Mark and Khonshu's like they're the main duo in this whole situation, and Steven's
I mean,
kind of like the outlier, or so.
I kind of said it in the first episode we did, where like Steven is essentially our point of view. He's
Right.
wondering what's going on. I'm confused. I don't get
Mm,
this. I don't get that. I think the whole
mm.
storage locker is a testament to that. But Nate, maybe you can help me out with this. Is it me, or does Mark know when to show up to Steven? When he's like almost about to either endanger himself or somebody else? Because remember the scene when he wakes up before he goes back to the museum and Steven's looking
Mm,
in the mirror, he's like, "Are you there?
Yeah.
mm,
Are you in there?" He's like,
mm,
"No, I didn't think so." But
mm.
like when Mark went into the storage locker, he was like, "Oh, hang on, Steven, hang on. Let me explain." So
Well, I think he knows
Right.
how to
just that
manifest
sort of.
himself.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely think he knows how to manifest himself when like he needs to manifest himself. He even said when they were swapped and he told Steven like it will take all your like your willpower just to essentially maintain like your presence and when you're outside when you're not the main person in control. So I'm guessing he just has more practice over it than Steven does, so he can just
Right.
he can manifest himself a lot. I won't even say it's easier or easy. He can just manifest himself easier than Steven can. Like Steven, I'm
Mm.
100% sure will eventually be able to do that as well, but he hasn't been in the situation enough to really just learn how to do it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I feel like I feel like whenever, because Mark kind of makes it feel like this is like his obviously his doing. Like, so he almost like I feel like he almost feels bad for Steven, honestly. Like he
Okay.
almost feels bad that like the fact, because like you have like that one part where like Steven's like, you know, I can't even go on a freaking date and all
Yeah.
this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like Mark genuinely, honestly, kind of feels bad that his life has been altered in such a way due to like his, you know, what he's trying to go after, like fulfilling Khonshu's will and his demands. So I feel like, you know, he tries to let Steven live his life until whenever his situation that he caused shows up that he feels like Steven can't handle. He's like, okay, like he's like, okay, like you're in a storage locker, like let me explain, let me take over here, and like Steven like either chooses whether or not he wants him to take over or not. Like I feel like whenever it's like normal life, him waking up, like he's going to his job, he's like, I'm not even around. But then whenever it's a situation like with the storage locker, or like when Layla shows up, like he's like, okay, like let me take over. This is not your situation. You can't handle this type thing. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like one of those. Like he almost kind of wants Steven to still kind of live his life, even though you know he's ruined it to some extent because like all this stuff is happening that like
So
intertwines him now because he's like regardless of them being different personalities, still like the same body
So
and same
so
person.
here's the thing. I don't think Mark has ruined Steven's life. I don't think Steven existed before Khonshu resurrected Mark when he said you were a corpse essentially that I brought back. I don't think Steven existed before that.
That's a good point, actually. That's a
I
good point,
agree. I
actually.
agree 100%, Nate. But I'll let you
Yeah.
finish, and I'll
Yeah,
add
so
something
it's,
on top of
yeah.
that. Go ahead.
All the evidence kind of points that Mark was the main body way before Steven ever
Mm.
became a thing. He had a whole marriage, he's military trained, he had a job,
Sure.
he had a
Right.
whole life, like with background information. Steven doesn't have any
Right.
background information.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I
I
mean, we
think
don't
I
even know
think
who this mom
I
that he's
think
talking to
yeah,
is.
I think that essentially what happened was when Khonshu brought him back, part of Mark's deal is essentially once he's done with all this stuff with Khonshu, that Steven takes over. Like he's free,
Mm.
Mark is free essentially to pass on whatever because he died already. Like but in order to
Mm.
keep Khonshu from essentially picking a new champion, which we learned would be Layla, pretty much immediately he's like, yeah, essentially if you're not doing it, I'm taking essentially your girl. Uh,
Mm.
this is essentially his only out to keeping Khonshu at bay from taking someone else he loves, and also even if he's not technically the one living it, giving himself a chance to live a normal life.
So I agree with a lot of that. And I guess the only source material I have to go on is the comic book material from Moon Knight, and a lot of that, Nate, what you kind of talked about, Mark Spector essentially is dying, dead, whatever, and Khonshu reaches out to him and says, "I want you to be my avatar. I'll give you all these powers. I'll give you life, all this kind of stuff, but you will essentially do my bidding." And the way the comic book kind of depicts him is really a sort of, knowing what his role is with Khonshu allows him to essentially construct different identities. There's Stephen Grant in the comic books is different. Stephen Grant's like a billionaire, like a Bruce Wayne type.
Mm.
There's I can't oh god, Jake Lockley, who's a cab driver, who essentially is another persona who essentially he's a cab driver. All he does is have his ear to the street. Okay, if
Mm.
you're familiar with Batman, Bruce Wayne came up with a character called Matches Malone, which was the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Okay, I think the difference is with the influence of Khonshu, it's easy for him to lose himself into those characters to where to come back it's so much more difficult. And I really think in the show, I'll kind of fast forward. I think Stephen Grant is Mark Spector's maybe way out. It's
Mm.
his one chance in a normal life. But I think he also knows that Khonshu will never let that happen. You
Mm.
know, so it's done. I mean, just the whole fact that Stephen knows about Egyptian hieroglyphics, he knows about poetry. Like it's. I said it kind of before in the last video we did. Stephen Grant is Mark Spector's way to essentially roam amongst the living without being noticed. And then when
I
danger
see.
shows up, Mark's like, "Hey, you got to let me take over." But the only problem
Mm.
is he's dealing with somebody who's already self-actualized himself. Like, wait, I got a job, I got a
Mm.
girlfriend, I'm on a date, I like steak.
Mm. Mm.
No, I'm not just going to turn this over to you. So I think Mark kind of maybe underestimated his own self, and the fact that we're talking about this in so many different personalities when we're really talking about one person is fascinating to me. It's absolutely fascinating.
I
Who's
agree.
in
I
who's in
agree.
control? Who
Right.
whose life are we living here? And I think Nate, I'll kind of let you take over, but that scene where he goes into the storage locker and he starts literally looking at someone else's past, and he's just like he pulls
Right.
the gun out the bag, he pulls out the passport, the money,
Mm.
and then this is the kind of point I was making. I think Mark kind of shows up when Steven's like, dude, you're in over your head. Like,
Yeah.
listen to me. But I think a lot of times it's kind of too late, you know?
Right. Because, it's like Steven like feels like it's essentially him that's like, obviously even though it's like Mark who's like killing people and doing all this, like he almost starts to feel some kind of guilt for it, you know what I mean? And so it's like he doesn't want to relinquish that control back to Mark anymore because he's gonna feel like the stuff that he does is him doing those similar things. So it's like
Sure.
it was interesting, like seeing that, like you said, like the battle throughout the episode of him just not wanting to, just holding off Mark essentially, and even in times of danger where like he needed to transform later in the episode and he just still wouldn't do it, which was crazy.
Nate, what were your thoughts on Layla showing up? What were your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this.
One, I thought it was a cool dynamic for her to actually show up because it showed that one, Mark had a whole life before all this, and the whole dynamic of the forward difference between Steven and Mark, how Steven is really not connected to Mark at all in terms of what Mark has done in the past life or anything like that. Like,
do you think Layla at any time in this episode bought that? That was just like, oh wait,
towards the
you're
end,
a different person?
At the beginning, no. I think towards the end when he literally was like, you can just have this, like, yes.
Okay.
I think it was at that point in time where he literally just, it's like, no, you can just have this. She was like, and then again when they were kind of locked in that room with Jackal kind of about to bust in as well, and she was asking him to transform, and she was like, please do this, please do this. Yeah, and he was like, I can't. And then from there she accepted, like, okay, Steven. Like, and she actually calls him Steven.
Yeah, she did.
That's all, calling him Mark.
Good point.
She's like, okay, you can't do this, like, but like you don't think you can. Mark can. Like, you have to also know that you can't do this because you're obviously a different person at this point in time. Like,
so I had one question in that moment, and hear me out. Is this not the first time Mark has dealt with another personality who was in control? Is that why she was so, okay, Steven, you can't do this?
Well, I think Mark has done fake personalities just for his job. Like she said, this is just another fake personality. I don't think it's been I don't think it's ever been a situation where he's ever been like this.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it called? I definitely think it's a situation where he's probably had fake personas and stuff when he was just a mercenary.
Got you. Good point.
Like that was just a part of his job.
Let's kind of dive into Arthur Harrow's character, because I thought this was definitely a good episode for him. You see the two officers come to Steven's home, they arrest him. That you think it's one thing, but it's something different. And then you kind of get this introduction into Arthur Harrow. And what were your thoughts on him saying that? I was like, yeah, I was Khonshu's avatar before you. Like, I was like, oh,
yeah. When he said that, I was like, dang. And you know what's crazy? Like, when he just started rattling off everything he was saying, I was like, he's like, yeah, he's probably telling you this and this, isn't he?
Right. Yeah.
Wow. And like, it honestly, to tell you what it did, it honestly made me feel like I don't really know who the villain is, to be honest with you. That's really what it made me feel like.
I like it.
Because whenever he starts saying, like, oh, he's probably saying this, like, yes, like, what he believes in, and, like, obviously you have the philosophical conversation between him and Steven as to what is right, and, like, if a child is, hasn't committed, like, that, act yet, like, are they really, sinful or whatever, like, that whole, like, conversation they were having about that, like, it really got into, like, the mindset of, obviously Arthur's character and like Steven's character, and like also what he believes in versus what Khonshu believes in. Like it made me just kind of made me think, like, I don't really know fully who the villain is, because like, can we really say that Khonshu and Mark are like the good guys? You know what I mean? Like I don't even know.
Man,
really,
that's
like,
a great point. That's a great point.
Like,
I think
what came into my mind when I thought about it.
It sounds like Khonshu does his bidding after essentially someone has determined that they're evil.
So
Amit or whoever Harrow is trying to resurrect senses it from the very beginning, sensing it from like an interdimensional person. Like I can already see what this person is
All
going
right.
to do, so let's eliminate.
So I think it's more of a situation where essentially Khonshu punishes those who commit crimes because I mean I hate to say it, but even in the Marvel universe, it has been shown that uh, nobody can actually tell the future regardless of who you are because everything splits. It's infinite timelines because of that. So
True.
him saying that this god can potentially predict the future, you can predict one timeline. If you know that timeline, because you know that person's gonna do something evil, you can all change what they're doing because you know they're gonna do something evil. So are they still evil? Essentially, you can't try to pre-predict somebody being evil because the moment you know that they're evil or they're gonna be evil, you can now make plans to prevent that. So you can't just execute without rehabilitating. Also, in that case, you don't know what their crime is. Their crime can be they stole something and then you just took their life. The justice does not equate to the crime. Conchu, on the other hand, and I'll say this: I don't think either one of them. I don't think Conchu or the other one, or I think the concept of good and evil isn't a thing. They're just justice, and that's it. Justice doesn't care whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're getting justice served regardless.
Yeah, justice is the act after the fact.
Yeah,
You know,
that is what Conchu. And that is,
what do we determine is actual justice? You know what I mean? You know, and I think that's maybe the kind of the gray area where we might be venturing into. Like, yeah, you might have, you know, robbed a bank, robbed a grocery store. You know, you committed a crime, but like you did that maybe to feed your family. You know what I mean?
yeah, but I think that's but that's why I said. But that's why I said justice isn't about doing good or bad. Yeah, you wanted to feed your family, but you still robbed that bank. Regardless, justice requires you be punished. Like it's not about good or bad.
And I really think I think a lot of this, and this is just my opinion, and you'll look forward here for a second. But these two particular gods, you know what I mean? They don't really deal with the concept of humanity, man making mistakes. It's just a factual thing. You committed a crime, you deserve to be judged. Doesn't matter why you did it, why you thought it was justful. It doesn't matter. You committed a crime, you're going to be judged. So I wonder if that's going to be, you know, we talked about the Enid in the first episode and talking about the whole pantheon of gods. I said it before. I really hope they dive into that because I think
Me too.
I really think, not looking too far ahead, but I think a lot of the things with Thor, Love and Thunder, Gore the God Butcher, I think will tie into that. I think a lot of the things with Black Panther 2 could tie into that. A lot of things with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when you're talking about these sort of deities and what their powers are and how they're valued, I think there's a lot that we could get out of this Moon Knight episode or Moon Knight series. Excuse
me. Yeah, no, I definitely think the same.
Like, has anybody picked up on like the biggest spoiler so far? Has anybody picked the biggest spoiler so far?
No, not really.
No. Okay, so for me the biggest spoiler so far is one of the 8 or 10 gods, these Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
Is Khonshu's sister. I don't remember her name, but she's the Panther god.
Oh yeah, I did pick up on that.
So the whole tie-in to things, like I just wonder, like, man, like, are they trying to weave? And I think you're going to get more in Thor, Love and Thunder. And again, I apologize for looking ahead, but I just wonder, like, man, like, you know, this whole Marvel, you got the multiverse thing, then you got these sort of pecking order of like, I mean, we got a chance to see the Celestials, the Eternals. We know their powers. Yeah. We're about to see Kang the Conqueror. We know about Thor and Loki and Odin. They're gods, but what sort of level are they? Now we're looking at like gods from different cultures and things like that. So again, forgive me for looking ahead, but I just kind of wonder, like, man, are they about to like tie all this in? You know,
I hope so. And like you said, I hope they dive, you know, like more into
First of
just
all,
like the history of
I
like
love the
different levels.
Egyptian mythology. Number one, I love.
Yeah,
I
no,
love.
me too.
But I hope they deep. I hope there's a deep dive into this. Oh,
Yeah.
I want all.
Like
I
I
want.
hope
Yeah.
like Mark and like Khonshu just dive into it. Like I'm at like this happened, this happened, this happened. Like because like even like Arthur mentioned like how Ahmet's like first avatar betrayed her or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I'm like, yo, who is that first avatar? Like, are they gonna talk about that? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I hope, like, you know, they. He's like, you know, I hope they dive into that, and like, I just hope we get like a history lesson. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's
I
just
got.
really
I
what
mean,
I hope.
I'm with it. I mean, I hate to say it. I kind of want that sort of like Discovery Indiana Jones feel. You know what I mean? Where they're just kind of discovering, and I kind of want that. I really do. To sound selfish, you know.
Right? No, me too.
Hey,
Really
but
do.
Nate, I'll let you go first, man. Go ahead and sum up. Give me your honest review. What are your thoughts about
Can Can I
episode
say
2 so
one
far?
more thing?
Go
Yep.
right
Can I
ahead.
say one more thing? You know, I appreciate Layla coming into the episode. You know, I feel like she gave like a perspective a little bit onto like what Mark was like. Can we just talk about how like she completely like sold like in the show though? Like she like brought the scarab to like the
Oh
the
yeah.
whole base. Like why would you do that? She had the scarab. She could have ran God knows where, and she brings it to like
Yeah,
Arthur's base.
I
I was
got
like,
you. I don't really know why she did it. I mean, I guess she went to save Mark, or what
But
she thought was Mark, I guess.
you
But
could have
also,
left the scarab at home.
but you could also tell that she had seen Mark as Moon Knight summon the suit. So she went there.
Yeah,
She was like, oh, well, my man got this. You know
yeah.
what I mean? She went there with that.
In there was like,
She walked in was like, oh yeah, I have it, sweetie,
I have
baby.
it. All right, go ahead, Mark. Change,
This guy looked and
keep
said,
all these people in here.
yeah,
like what?
yeah. She walked in, she was like, oh yeah, I have it, yeah, baby, go ahead and summon the suit. What? What? She was like, summon the suit. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's
Yeah. She said, "Yeah, I can walk in here with the scarab and walk out untouched because he's gonna transform into Moon Knight, and you guys are all gonna get it."
Because my man got this, okay? My boo got this, okay? Yeah. Here's what you don't know, okay? Here's what you don't know.
And she realized so quick that she was like, "Yo, this was a bad plan. Like, this did not go well."
I honestly think that's what her play was. She was like, "Oh, shit. He in a room. There's about 30, 40 cats. Yeah, he got this. Let me walk him. But yeah, I have it. Hello, I got it. Baby, summon the suit."
Like I've seen you take out people like this. Go ahead.
This guy said, huh?
What?
I don't know how to do that.
You know.
That's funny. No, but actually, go ahead
and sum up episode 2, man. Give me your thoughts, bro.
All right, so in terms of episode 2, I really liked episode 2. I like that they dove in a little bit more into who the actual villain was to give us a little bit more of the philosophical side of his way of thinking as to why he's doing anything. I like that Stephen literally referred to them as baby killers. He's like, oh, so y'all just okay with killing kids? And the people were just like,
yeah.
I mean, if the thing said that kid's gonna commit a crime, he's like, oh, all right, so I'm out. He's like, I'm out. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, why don't you join me? He said, you kill children. He said, well, yeah. I mean, if they commit something, he's like, yeah, you know what? I don't think so. Anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of draw the line. I kind of draw the line at, like, children killing. He's like, y'all had me right up until then. Y'all had me right up until you said, yeah, we kill the kids, too. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Oh,
but I enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I like getting the philosophical side. I like getting the back and forth argument between Steven and Mark. I like the conversation they had when Steven finally took it over, and when Mark finally got to take over, and Steven mentioned like how it's like you can barely move. It feels like you're just caught. Like if it is a terrible feeling to be stuck essentially in your subconscious, and Mark like you get used to it, man. Like I really like the episode.
Yeah. I would say, for me, I think there's a couple of takeaways. I also enjoyed the episode. I like getting more depth, more scope to Arthur Harrow's character. You kind of see what his plan is. But, for me, I think, there was a couple of takeaways. One, Mark's now in control, right? Steven is kind of on the sidelines. I love that scene at the end where Mark is sitting there, crushing a bottle of whiskey, and Steven is sitting there looking at the mirror, and it's broken, and his hands are bloody. So this dude's been trying to get out, and he can't. I don't know if you guys picked that up.
Oh, I didn't even
You
notice
know,
that.
yeah. If you go back and look at that scene, Steven's hands are bloody, and the mirror's cracked. So he's been trying to get out.
Well, Mark's
You
hands
know,
are also bloody, so it might just be Mark doing his thing, and Steven just sitting there watching him now. Like he's conscious and watching it now, whereas
Right,
before he
right.
was always like unconscious whenever Mark was kind of doing his thing. So now he's literally watching Mark live this life that he didn't even know he was a part of.
I also like the fact that they're in Egypt now, right? So, hopefully we get that sort of backstory, history lesson. Maybe we get some more backstory to what happened to Mark, his origin story. Hopefully we get some more information on the whole, Egyptian deities and gods. I would love that. But I guess the thing that I guess really, struck a chord with me was that talk with Khonshu and Mark at the end, where like Khonshu, yeah, he's got like an ace up his sleeve where he's just like, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to recruit someone else. But there was also this sort of like sympathy that Khonshu had. He was like, Mark, I'll do whatever I can, whatever I have to protect you. So like I now I kind of want more of that relationship between Mark and Khonshu.
Me too.
Because yeah, Khonshu, he's a maniacal kind of evil dude, but he also values Mark like, man, like, I'll do whatever I have to protect you. I'll give you the suit. I'll give you all these weapons. You'll have all these powers. Like you got it. But don't cross me, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I'm really interested to kind of dive into that sort of relationship, that dynamic with Khonshu and Mark. But the fact that they're in Egypt, the fact that maybe we're going to get Mark's perspective now instead of Steven's. Hope maybe we'll get some other characters, some other personalities. Maybe we get a backstory, origin story of Mark. Man, I'm super looking forward to episode 3, y'all. Super, absolutely. Really excited for episode 3. Brandon, go ahead and take us home, man. Sure. Go ahead and finish us off, man.
Yeah, I mean, episode 2 was absolutely. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. Same as episode 1. I found it very, very interesting. Like the fact that like I want to know why like all of a sudden Steven is now on the sidelines while like after all this time he had been always unconscious. And like I think even Mark said this, like he was like, yeah, like for some reason like he's kind of here now, like I don't really know why, like all of it, but just like being able to find out why all of a sudden Steven can now talk to him from like that other side rather than just being completely knocked out. Also, I just wonder if we're gonna, hopefully see some more like Steven in power with the suit on, because he did conjure it up at some point, and it wasn't like the full Moon Knight suit, but
it was the full Moon Knight suit. It was just the wrong type of suit. It was just
it was just the wrong type of suit. I just found it like interesting how like he was even starting to harness some of like Khonshu's power a little bit. You know what I mean? Like for some reason he's now like breaking through, that he in ways that he never did before. So like I find that interesting. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to just hopefully like getting, now that like Mark, it does seem like he is fully controlled, just getting like maybe like a full Mark episode, like just seeing him just kind of like fully in control, interacting with Khonshu, like seeing some of that crazy like action packed fighting that like.
I'll say this: we've never really got to see Mark fight yet. Like we've got to see him like
I kind of want to see like Mark get down. We saw like every time he went in and out of it, but I want to see like Mark just go crazy on some guys. So. I think that would be interesting. I'm looking forward to that as well, honestly. And like you said, it's in Egypt now, so hopefully we get like some full like just Khonshu like philosophical breakdown, like just talking about like Amet and like everything else, So yeah, I look forward to those.
Gotcha. Any final thoughts, y'all?
Other than I can't wait for episode 3 Wednesday.
Take us home, man.
Once again,
go and take us home, man.
Once again, I always appreciate anybody who stuck through the video. We appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this, so we can hopefully get some more stuff out. And like I said, we're working on getting a little bit more consistent here with the video. So hopefully, I should have this one up about tomorrow.
Yeah. We got so many different things coming out. We got a lot of ideas in the works.
Deuces.
So
You know what I mean?
like,
yeah, man. Stay tuned, man.
Tune in because we are
man.
gonna be growing this channel. We got some ideas.
We're about to go ahead. And what's the word? Diversify.
All right, guys. But like I say, once again, thank y'all, and y'all have a good night.